was this for irony?
Let's hear it.
The very film that Disney said no to is the very film which deals with a very horrible subject matter dealing with human trafficking and children. Is going to be the very film that's not only going to beat it on the biggest day of the summer against one of their biggest franchises, but it's also going to make more money in the long run.
Man, this is going to be good.
And I can't be any more happy about this. This is absolutely phenomenal. Let's take a look at this right here. We're going to go to Breitbart first, and we're going to go over this particular article about how Sound of Freedom nearly tops Disney's Indy 5 on 4th of July. But I will take it a step further and say that it's already beaten Indiana Jones. If we look at the domestic box office for July 4th, 2023, we see here, Sound of Freedom has grossed $14 million to Indiana Jones's Dial of Destiny, $11 million. Now, there are some caveats, but that's real money coming in. About $3 million of that money was money that was given to Angel Studios, which is the studio that's actually producing this and distributing this movie, to pay it forward to allow other people to see it who can't afford it. But the fact remains is that even though that money can't technically count towards the box office, it's money in the bank and it's going to be credited to this film because it will be used at some point in the future. So as far as I'm concerned, it's already beating it. And even if it hasn't done it so far, it's dead even with the biggest film that Disney could put out. This is Indiana Jones, for goodness sakes, and yet it is still beating it. And so with that, let's dig into this article. Here we have, it says, Angel Studios Sound of Freedom opened Tuesday, July 4th, to an astonishing $11.6 million, which nearly topped the July 4th take of Disney's Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny. So some caveats apply, all of them in Sound of Freedom's favor. To begin with, the Dial of Destiny played in 2,000 more theaters than Sound of Freedom. Secondly, and this is really something, Sound of Freedom sold 14.2 million worth of tickets Tuesday, which tops Dial of Destiny and makes the Christian-themed film top 4th of July ticket seller. And this is what we have right here. And that's what I'm going with right here. That is astonishing. This is a film that was crowdsourced. This is a film that Disney did not want. When Disney bought 21st Century Fox, this film had already been filmed. It was in the can. It was ready to go. But initially, and from the reports that I'm hearing from the jump, Disney did not want this to be released. They canned it. And Angel Studios, which is the producers of the Tuttle Twins and also Dry Bar Comedy and also The Chosen, they took it on and fought for the rights for this film and got it to the public. Because here, a drama starring Jim Caviezel as a real-life rescuer of children from traffickers grossed just under the day's total for Indiana Jones, which played in almost 2,000 more theaters. This is absolutely incredible. Let's go to Twitter here, and let's show you this tweet from Luis Fernando. He says here, a 2-year-old Angel Studios, that's the studio that I said before, is still a baby at the US box office, but it's about to post another big win after The Chosen as their film Sound of Freedom, with a $14.5 million budget, grossed spectacular $14.2 million on July 4th, Tuesday opening day, including Monday previews, $25 million to $35 million 6-day opening in the cards, which is absolutely incredible. So what does this mean? Let's go to on my spreadsheet, which you probably have seen before in other videos I've done here. And I put this together, okay? So I put the movies that we're looking at, we're tracking, and the budget, which is the column to the right, the total gross, and the break-even amount if we're looking at about 200% of what you need to make over your budget, which is roughly what everyone agrees on. Some say more, some say less, but 200 is or twice as much is pretty much what everyone says when it comes to will a movie be profitable. Let's take a look at this. Indy 5 at a budget of about $320 million. Some say maybe more than that. I've heard as high as $400 million. It's only grossed $154,000 worldwide, and its break even, it needs to make an additional $640 million just to break even. And well, actually, that's what it needs to make total to break even. And right now is in the hole, $485 million. Is losing that much money. Now, in contrast, let's take a look at Sound of Freedom. At a budget of $14.5 million, it's already grossed $14.2 million, and it's only $14 million in the hole. If it gets to what Luis Fernando says of a $35 million or $25 million weekend, they would have already made a profit in the first week. That is absolutely incredible. And like I said before, Indy is $485 million in the hole with no sign at all of making a single penny. The question becomes with Indiana 5 is, will it lose $100 million or $200 million or more? It's how much is it going to lose, not if it's going to make any money. That's pretty much off the table right now. That is pretty fascinating. Let's go back to Luis Fernando's tweet here. He's got another one here. He says, worth noting that from those $14.2 million of Sound of Freedom that it grossed on its opening day, 2.7 are from Angel Studios' Paying It Forward program, where studio supporters pay for the cost of tickets given to people who can't afford them in order to spread word of mouth beyond the faith bubble. And that's fantastic. But you know what? That's still money in the hole. It's going to be used for tickets from somebody, so it's going to count going forward. And the better part of this is that it has beat Indiana Jones and Disney in terms of ticket sales for July 4th, the biggest day of the year. It's just absolutely phenomenal. This is wonderful. And so I want to talk about something else too, because there's something else that's going on, because, the shill media doesn't want to talk about this at all. I found this article from a day ago. This is from Hollywood in Toto, and it says, Sound of Freedom eyes a stunning $20 million debut. And what's interesting is it says that Indiana Jones and Dial of Destiny earned a measly $60 million at U.S. box office over the weekend. Now, this is a little bit older numbers from before, but the point is that Sound of Freedom, starring Jim Caviezel, in a fact-based tale of child trafficking, already locked in $10 million in pre-sales. So it was already tracking at a much better rate than Indiana Jones. But what I really want to talk to you about here is how the shill media pretty much ignored this film. Now, I noticed this because in Rotten Tomatoes, if you were to come in here and do a search for sound, just the word sound, for Sound of Freedom, it is nowhere on the main page. Go check it out for yourself anywhere you want to look on the front page of Rotten Tomatoes right now. And the time of this taping is 8:02 Eastern Standard Time on the 5th. You don't see anywhere, even in any of this stuff here, none of it is nowhere to be found anywhere on the page, but yet it has a Rotten Tomatoes score right now, as of the time of this, it's 87%, an audience score of 99%. But yet somehow they don't want to show it. Now, it's here in the Sound of Freedom in terms of in theaters, but it's not on the front page, which I find really, really interesting, how no promotion from the shill media whatsoever. If you haven't seen Sound of Freedom, I recommend that you do. And if you have seen it, go see it again, share with your friends. This is going to be something that's going to have to be done word of mouth, obviously. And if you can afford it, go ahead and pay it forward so someone else can see it who can't afford to see it right now, because this movie is extremely important. If you can tell by the thumbnail of my review of it, you know I gave it a very, very high score. And it's one of the best films I've seen ever. It's one of the highest rated films I've ever rated, in the top 5 already, #1 rated films I've ever done on this channel. But it's also probably the most important of all of them. Maybe there's a couple others that are very important too, other issues, but this one is right up there. And I think everyone needs to see it, and we need to share it and be excited about it, because Hollywood is right now being put on notice, and I absolutely love it. And if you like what we do here, check out some videos that we have here that you might enjoy and find just as powerful.